Today we are looking at belts, especially for newer shooters that are just now getting into the sport. I want to cover kind of the options that are available to newer shooters and help you to make a decision on what kind of belt to get, because I've kind of landed on what I think is my favorite belt, and it's not necessarily what I first got out to start with. If you're out on the range and you don't have a belt, or you have a bad belt, you're not going to have a great range day in my experience. They really do make or break everything, especially since it carries your holster, multiple magazines, extra ammo for the dump pouch. It's got, you can add carabiners to it, whatever. It just makes it very versatile so that you have a lot of kit on you without having to constantly go back to your range table, and lets you get more time downrange and not fiddling around with crap at your workbench or your desk or whatever. So the first belt that I ever bought was a T-Rex Arms outer belt, and that's what this setup here is. And I've got, these are I think they're S-Tac Kiwi pouches, and they're using, Malice clips, and it kind of like threads in through the T-Rex Arms outer belt. So I've got 2 pistol pouches and a AR-15 pouch. And then I've got a dump pouch here. I wind up just using this kind of anything and everything that I need. I typically run a med kit here, but I was actually using my other belt, which I'll show here in a second. So I put my med kit on that one. And then, I've got a knife here just for opening ammo boxes and whatever, cutting targets off. And then I've got a Safariland QLS. And this piece is one of the more integral parts of this belt because it has the thigh strap. So being an outer belt, the problem that you'll have with outer belts if you do not use a thigh strap is the belt will shift around a lot because it doesn't have... it doesn't go in through your belt loops. So this is just slung around your waist and just kind of sitting on your hips. And so this thigh strap, you can, tighten it up a good bit, and then it really ensures that when you're drawing your pistol, it doesn't like move the entire belt with you, which is a common issue if you don't have a, thigh strap for this. So these are great for, just general range purpose. The outer belts are great for general range purpose. And I particularly think, if you want to use it as like a bedside item, it's great as well, because if you need it ever in a flash, you just unclip it here and then you sling it around your waist. And then, now you've got whatever pistol mags, an AR mag, your sidearm holstered already, and then med kit, whatever you need, it's on. You go from being not prepared at all to ready to go in 2 seconds. You sling that thing on and you're good. So that's a good use case, I think, for the outer belt. But if you're one of the guys that sleeps in a level 4 ceramic plate, then obviously you've already got the plate carrier on, so you don't probably need a belt. Or more accurately, you're already wearing an inner and outer belt as you went to bed. So then this is kind of a moot point. So if you are looking at, getting your first belt, honestly, the outer belt's not a bad way to go. I definitely like it. I just think that there are, because this outer belt uses Molly or Malice clips in this case. It has Molly straps on it, but a lot of folks will affix pouches using like one wrap, which is Velcro, and it just is kind of a pain to customize this belt. Like, it takes a minute to set it up, because this belt actually comes in, I think, 2 pieces. There is this like gray sleeve, and then this belt here is another belt, and so there's actually kind of 2 belts in one. And you can see this like gray. This belt runs all the way through, the black belt runs all the way through the gray belt, and then it threads this Safariland holster on, and holds that in place. So it's kind of a pain to set up, is really the only con to it. And then it's less stable than the other belts, but it hasn't bothered me that much with the lack of stability. It's just, as you really get into running and gunning with it, sometimes it jostles around, even with the thigh strap. I have never had a magazine fly out of these S-Tac pouches. So, I mean, they definitely hold everything in place. So, but it's just something to be aware of. You know, if you want something that's going to be more cinched down, then you need to get an inner belt or / outer belt, which is, you know, what we'll look at here right up next. This belt, which is probably my favorite belt that I've got at the moment. And this is an inner belt, outer belt. This is the outer belt portion of it. And then this is the inner belt. And this particular belt is called an Agilite. It's a magnetic belt. And magnetic in the sense that, you know, the inner belt here straps, it's all Velcro on the outside, right? And then it straps in the front, and then on the back it has these little magnets here, so that when you go to put this belt on, there's magnets on the rear of this belt here that, you know, are designated by that little triangle kind of a deal. And then it will like cinch up, and I wonder if I can actually get the, like, you know, y'all can hear this. But it'll like, whoop, okay, I messed up. Oh, I guess triangle's gonna face the same way. Let's do this. Just to make it actually fit. All right. So then you'll hear this. Yep, see, and then it clicks into place, and then this belt, which is, I didn't really get set up for example demonstration here, but that's how it'll all go together if you have a size, you know, 14 waist apparently. But yeah, so that's your inner belt and your outer belt for this. And the reason I like this belt so much is it has, you know, you can use one wrap or Molly or malice clips or whatever if you want to affix your items to it, your mag pouches and stuff. But what I've got, which I really think is working out really well, is tek-lok, which are all of these attachments here. And so basically tek-lok, what it is this attachment. And so this attaches onto the outside of the belt, and then it clamps down. So then whatever you want to attach affixes to this grid pattern here. And you just click it in, and then, you know, that clicks down, and then this thing flips up and locks it in place. And then it gives you a really good versatility, because you can attach whatever, tourniquets, pistol magazines, rifle magazines, whatever you want, you know, uses these clips. And then once you have those in place, then, you know, you can interchange. So I can swap out, okay, do I want, you know, am I going to do rifles only? I'm going to have multiple rifle mags in front. And am I going to shoot only pistols? I'll drop the rifle mag and add a 4th pistol mag on here. You know, stuff like that. Or do I want to run a tourniquet holder that, you know, instead of the AR pouch, like whatever, like you can easily customize this on the fly, which is very nice. So you don't feel limited in that regard. And then the holster on this as well is a tek-lok as well. And so this is their tek-lok like duty drop holster. And this is their tek-lok, I guess it's the regular mount. This is like a tek-lok large, or I guess, I don't know if it's called large, but it's just a tek-lok mount. These are technically tek-lok mini mounts. These little discs, it's the size of the disc is what I'm talking about. And so this disc is, you know, so small, mini, and then regular, I guess, are the whatever sizes I'm talking about. And so, and then also on these, you know, you have a little like paddle that you can click here. I think y'all can see that. And then you can adjust the angle that you want. You know, if you want to have, you know, you're going to go competition shooting, whatever, you got that. And then you can adjust the tension in these as well with this little, I think I'm getting that on camera. You know, there's a little dealy boober. Yeah, right there. That little flap. It allows you to fit, you know, all size of magazines in there. You know, 2011s, SIG magazines, Glock magazines, whatever you want can fit inside that pouch. You just have to adjust the retention with that top screw there. But yeah, I mean, this belt is definitely the most, I think, versatile of the belts that I've got. Okay, so next up is the competition belt. Which this is a double alpha Lynx belt. This is a competition belt, and so this is an inner outer belt. And The reason this is different from the other belt is just the extreme level of rigidity in it. Like, I mean, you can see I'm holding, you know, I can put all this crap on like one end of it, and like I'm holding this up with just one hand, and it's like not flexing at all. So it's very rigid, and it's not gonna, you know, move. I've got these mag pouches, and then you can use these little thumb screws here, these little red whatevers. I have no idea how this camera works, but it's there. Yeah, this little red screw to adjust the tension on those. And then, you know, we've got the holster on this side, and this is True North Concepts hanger. Then I put a thigh strap on it just because I'm so used to having a thigh strap that I've wanted to have it on this. You don't really need a thigh strap, but because this belt's so stable, but it is there. And then this uses an inner outer belt system as well. If you get this belt, it is on the more pricier side. I don't remember how much it was. I'm gonna say like close to 100 bucks maybe. But that gives you just the belt, and then you have to get all the magazine holes, which are $60 or $70, I want to say. And then this also is extra, but I would definitely recommend getting this, which is the ratchet system, because that way you can like kind of adjust the size of the belt on the fly, and then you just kind of tuck this thing underneath. And yeah, this belt's great. It's just way less versatile, because if you want to swap out the magazines, you have to undo both of these screws, and it's like, imagine doing this on the range where you want to swap out to, I don't know, have an AR mag holder. You know, you got to like undo the screws, and then you're tracking, you got to make sure you don't drop this crap on the ground. And then, you know, it's just like, it's a whole, like, yes, you can absolutely do it 100%, but you have to be more cognizant of it. And it's like, there's so many things going on when you're at the range that you don't want to have to mess around with screws and whatnot. So this belt is just great. It's definitely, I use this more when I'm like trying to do like actual USPA drills for time. And you know, cause you want to have whatever, the holster angle at the correct, whatever. Yeah, so I use this belt a lot when I'm just, you know, mostly doing USPSA drills, and so that's why it's a little more pistol focused than the other belts. But this one's definitely more expensive and more specialized in use case. So if you're looking, that's kind of where it's like, if you're just now getting into the sport of shooting, I would not recommend getting this belt, because it's like, it's just too much. Like you're gonna get. I've improved so much on just that T-Rex arms belt. You can improve so much on a very basic belt that you don't need to have, you know, something as specialized as this, you know, until much later down the road. Here is the cheapest option that I've got for y'all, which is just a regular belt. And so this belt, in my opinion, is great because it's just an outer belt. And so if you do just an outer belt, this is just a regular inner belt, but it can also, you know, work as a range belt, you know, if needed. So, and the way that it does that is with tek-lok. So basically you would take this and clamp it on here. And so it's like, okay, so you can see that this tek-lok system is way too big for this. Well, you just have to grab a few more of these, you know, little kind of belt shims, I guess, and then throw them on here. You stick that there, and then I would probably add an extra one just to make sure it doesn't stay as rigid as possible. And then you clamp this down and then lock it. And then now, you know, you can mount your mag pouches to this. Like if you're just now getting into this, like, dude, just run with this. Like, you just buy tek-lok, and tek-lok itself is, I think it's like, I don't remember, $30 or $40, like including the mount and the mag pouch, you know, together. Maybe it's up to like $50 per pouch, but you just get two of those pouches, and then, you know, whatever your holster is. This is actually a suppressor holster for a P226, but it indexes off of the Surefire X300. So, you know, so this holster, you just take whatever holster you have laying around, and then, you know, you can take your pistol, whatever, and, you know, just drop it right in there. And then, you know, now you have a belt, and it took like 2 seconds to make. And then if you want to go back to being a regular belt, then you just flip this off and then pull that off. you know, and then undo that, and then pull this off, and boom, you're back to a regular belt in like 2 seconds. So that's my point, is like, I really like this tek-lok stuff because it goes on and off very quick. So if you're just now getting into this, like, don't feel like you need to go buy an extra belt that's, you know, $100, $150, and then, you know, 4 or 5 of these. You know, you just need like 2 or 3 of these, and then, you know, a mag pouch holder and whatever. You know, take whatever your existing holster is and see if it fits with tek-lok, and then, you know, throw that on there, and you're good to go for the most part.